The Sewanee Summer Music Festival would like to welcome you to its annual July 4th concert with the Festival Wind Ensemble. I am Eric Bubacz, your host for this evening. Please rise for the national anthem as we welcome our conductor for the evening, John Kilkenny. On September 3rd, 1814, following the burning of Washington and the raid on Alexandria, Francis Scott Key and John Stuart Skinner set sail for Baltimore, flying a flag of truce on a mission approved by President James Madison. Their objective was to secure the exchange of prisoners, one of whom was Dr. William Beans, the elderly and popular town physician of Upper Marlborough, who had been captured in his home. Beans was accused of aiding the arrest of British soldiers. Key and Skinner boarded the British flagship on September 7th and spoke with Major General Robert Ross and Vice Admiral Alexander Cochrane over dinner while the two officers discussed war plans. At first, Ross and Cochrane refused to release Beans, but relented after Key and Skinner showed them letters written by wounded British prisoners praising Beans and other Americans for their kind treatment. Because Key and Skinner had heard details of the plans for the attack on Baltimore, they were held captive until after the battle. After the bombardment, certain British gunboats attempted to slip past the fort and effect a landing in a cove to the west of it, but they were turned away by fire from nearby Fort Covington, the city's last line of defense. During the rainy night, Key had witnessed the bombardment and observed that the fort's smaller storm flag continued to fly, but once the shell and Congreve rocket barrage had stopped, he would not know how the battle had turned out until dawn. By then, the storm flag had been lowered and the larger flag had been raised. Key was inspired by the American victory and by the sight of the large American flag flying triumphantly above the fort. It was the inspiration for this poem, which was later set to the music of John Stafford Smith. It is worthy to note that Sousa began as the musical director of the United States Marine Corps band known as the President's Own in 1880 and led the band for 5 presidential administrations. The Liberty Bell was written for Sousa's unfinished operetta, The Devil's Deputy, but financing for the show fell through. Shortly afterwards, Sousa and his band manager, George Himpton, attended the Columbian Exposition in Chicago. as they watched the spectacle America, in which a backdrop depicting the Liberty Bell was lowered, Hinton suggested the Liberty Bell as the title of Sousa's recently completed march. Sousa agreed. He sold the Liberty Bell as the title to the John Church Company for publication, and it was an immediate success. The march is played as part of an exhibit in the Liberty Bell Center. It's all the rage. It's what all the kids are listening to today. And I wrote a piece that sounds just like it. I can only imagine how Arthur Pryor pitched this next work to John Philip Sousa after he composed it in the early 1900s to perform with the Sousa Band. Arthur Pryor was best known as the virtuoso trombone soloist with the Sousa Band. He was known to compose works to feature himself as soloist, but this work, Razaza Mazaza, features the entire trombone section. It is the style of a ragtime two-step that embodies the feel of an emerging jazz culture and composition in the United States at the time. Our trombone section featured for this evening is Joshua Bynum, Andrew Taylor, and Jordan Kriminger. Although this doesn't conform to the festivities for the evening, there is a white Kia outside that keys were found. The license plate number 413ZNH, Franklin County, Tennessee. The key is in the lobby with either it says Evelyn or Emily. So somebody, a lady whose name begins with E. Yeah, it's either Evelyn or Emily, but find your key. Irving Berlin was a Russian-born Jewish-American composer and lyricist. Widely considered one of the greatest songwriters in American history, his music forms a great part of the American songbook. He, of course, is well known as the composer of Alexander's Ragtime Band, which sparked an international dance craze in places as far away as Berlin's native Russia. He wrote hundreds of songs, many becoming major hits, which made him a legend before he turned 30. During his 60-year career, he wrote an estimated 1,500 songs, including the scores for 19 Broadway shows and 18 Hollywood films, with his songs nominated 8 times for Academy Awards. Many songs became popular themes and anthems, including Easter Parade, White Christmas, Happy Holiday, This Is the Army, Mr. Jones, and There's No Business Like Show Business. His Broadway musical and 1942 film, This Is the Army, with Ronald Reagan, had Kate Smith singing Berlin's God Bless America, which was first performed in 1938. Smith still performed the song on her 1960 CBS television series, The Kate Smith Show. The manuscripts in the Library of Congress reveal the evolution of the song from victory to peace. Our arrangement this evening by Eric Leidson embodies the power and spirit of that America Irving Berlin conceived. America the Beautiful's lyrics were written by Catherine Lee Bates, and the music composed by church organist and choir master Samuel Augustus Ward. Bates originally wrote the words as a poem, Pike's Peak, first published in 1895. At that time, the poem was titled America for publication. Ward had originally written the music Materna for the hymn O Mother Dear, Jerusalem in 1882. Ward's music, combined with the Bates poem, was first published in 1910 entitled America the Beautiful, and has become one of the most popular of the many American patriotic songs. This powerful setting is by Carmen Dragon, an American conductor, composer, and arranger who, in addition to live performances and recordings, worked in radio, film, and in television. one of the greatest war epics ever made. Steven Spielberg's Saving Private Ryan is a 1998 American epic war film set during the invasion of Normandy in World War II. The film is notable for its realistic portrayal of war and for its depiction of the Omaha Beach assault of June 6, 1944. It was unflinching in its depiction of the horrors of the final year of World War II, while also capturing the heroic resolve of a small band of American soldiers, led by Captain John H. Miller, Tom Hanks, who sacrificed their lives in a mission impossible. Saving Private Ryan was well received and garnered considerable critical acclaim, winning several awards. The solemnly beautiful Hymn to the Fallen, this version for band, is only used for the closing credits. In Spielberg's own words, it's a testament to John Williams' sensitivity and brilliance that, in my opinion, will stand the test of time and honor forever the fallen of this war and possibly all wars. I would hope that you all agree that it's time for another Sousa March. In 1889, owners of the Washington Post newspaper requested that John Philip Sousa, the leader of the United States Marine Corps Band, compose a march for the newspaper's essay contest awards ceremony. Sousa obliged. The Washington Post March was introduced at the ceremony on June 15th, 1889, and it became quite popular. It led to a British journalist dubbing Sousa the March King. Sousa is honored in the Washington Post building for his contribution to the newspaper and his country. The Washington Post March. Morton Gould was an American conductor, composer, and pianist. He was recognized as a child prodigy very early in his life, and as a result, he published his first composition before his 7th birthday. His talents led him to become the staff pianist for Radio City Music Hall when it opened in 1932. He went on to compose movie soundtracks, Broadway musicals, and instrumental pieces for orchestra and band, while also cultivating an international career as a conductor. Among the honors he received were the 1995 Pulitzer Prize, the 1994 Kennedy Center Honors, a 1983 Gold Baton Award, and a 1966 Grammy Award. By the time of his death in 1996, he was widely revered as an icon of American classical music. American Salute is a theme and variations based on the Civil War song When Johnny Comes Marching Home. It was written for a national radio broadcast on the Mutual Radio Network on Lincoln's birthday, 1942. One can only guess that it also helped as a morale booster during the uncertainty of World War II. Gould wrote, "I have attempted a very simple and direct translation in orchestral idiom of this vital tune. There is nothing much that can be said about the structure or the treatment because I think it is what you might call self-auditory." American Salute is Gould's most performed work. It was on the program of a concert by the United States Military Academy Concert Band, which Gould attended on the last evening of his life. American Salute. Thank you very much. It is now time for us here at the Sewanee Summer Music Festival to honor all the brave men and women who have served. In this Armed Forces Salute, arranged by Bob Loudon, we would be delighted to have those who have served to stand when their song is played. In this arrangement, they will be heard in the following order: the caisson song for the Army, Semper Paratus for the Coast Guard, the Marines hymn, the United States Air Force, and Anchors Aweigh for the Navy. And now, the Armed Forces Salute. We very sincerely thank you for coming out this evening for our 4th of July concert. We truly hope that each and every one of you has enjoyed the show thus far. We would like to conclude this evening's patriotic show with selections from the 1812 Overture, followed immediately by the Stars and Stripes Forever. On the fateful day, September 7th, 1812, savage conflicts were taking place. Napoleon's armies had penetrated deep into Russia, and that very day fought the Russians bitterly at Borodino, driving them out of Moscow. However, the Russians were not to be defeated and charged back into the city, driving Napoleon out with fire, thus making the start of the long and disastrous retreat that destroyed the once proud Grande Armée, or Napoleon's Great Army. Hence, in 1880, the Russian composer Tchaikovsky was commissioned to write a festive and patriotic piece to immortalize Napoleon's defeat and celebrate the liberation of the Russians. Cannons would have been used during the actual conflict, hence their significance in this piece. Its first performance was in Moscow in 1882. The spirit of independence and victory captured in this work are probably the all-time reasons this work has been adopted for American Independence Day concerts. The Stars and Stripes Forever need no explanation as such. But to quote the Philadelphia Public Ledger, May 15th, 1897, "It is stirring enough to rouse the American eagle from his crag and set him to shriek exultantly while he hurtles his arrows at the aurora borealis."